Okay, so this is the Dark Spirits tag. Now, this tag is going to be a little complicated for me because I have personally never met a dark human spirit. In my personal experience, spirits can be angry, and, you know, spirits can be sad, and spirits can be bitter, and all that sort of shit, but I don't see that as a dark spirit. I feel like the human spirit is pretty neutral, and, you know, it's the personality, even in spirit form, that makes up whether a spirit is good or bad, but I don't see that as being dark. When I personally talk about dark things, dark entities, dark whatever, I am not in any way, shape, or form talking about human spirits. So there's that little disclaimer. So going along that train of thought, the first question is, do you have any experience with dark spirits? I have experience with angry human spirits and bitter human spirits. And then I have an experience with something I cannot personally name. I do not know what it is. I think I talked about it, alluded to it anyway, in my, excuse me, in my personal experience with spirits video. Okay, you can Google this house if you want to. In Circleville, we call it the Kreitz House. It's also called the Octagonal House. But it is this house that is round. And it used to sit on this piece of farmland in Circleville, Ohio, with a barn that said M.M. Kreitz. That's why we always called it the Kreitz House. And the Kreitzes were one family that owned it, and they were the ones that built the house round and built the barn and all that shit, but there were people who lived on there before that. And there's something on that land. It was not attached to the house, it was not ever human, it was not... I almost want to call it a demon, but I don't like the term demon. I did not believe that things like that existed until I met this thing. I believed that demons were a Christian or Catholic creation to keep people in line, much like the devil. I don't know what the fuck to call it. Here is what I do know about it. It's never been human. It is attached to the land, but it can also leave the land, but not for long periods of time. And only if people have been around to feed it energy. It takes energy from humans, from animals, from whatever it can get, you know, that's living, that it can take energy from. They moved the house, the octagonal house, further on down the field because they were building a fucking Walmart, and people threw a fit, and they were like, you cannot tear this house down, it's a historical landmark, all that shit. Which, the house is fucking beautiful. Like, I don't know if they've restored it yet. I know they were talking about restoring it because the Ohio Historical Society bought it. But even when it was in shambles, this house is fucking beautiful. The staircase, there used to be this, it's a turret, but then when you went up in the turret, there was stained glass on the floor, and you could look up in the kitchen and you would see that stained glass. I mean, just fucking beautiful. But, so people were able to save the house, but they had to agree to let them move it. They moved it further down the field, and they moved it a decent distance from the road. 3 months later, this house, and I shit you not, you can go to Circlevillians who saw this happen. Like, I am not making this shit up. This house had moved almost to the road, which was feet away from where it was. And corn, which grew in other parts of the field but did not grow in this particular part of the field, had started to grow around the house, just like it did when it was on the other part of the land. This fucking thing is something else. It also traps spirits. People who have died at that house do not leave. That house is so full of human spirits that cannot leave that land because of this thing. And I don't know if it just applies to people who died in that house, because as I said before in my other video, There is an abnormal number of spirits walking the streets of Circleville, Ohio. Like, you go to Columbus, which is much, much bigger, with much more people and much more, everything. And it's nowhere near what is in Circleville. It's just, like, I've been to other places, It's just an abnormal amount. So I don't know if this thing has something to do with that. I don't know. I call him a he, but he's gender neutral. I don't know. We captured a picture of him, and he looked, which he can I'm pretty sure he can appear as anything he fucking wants to appear as. But in this particular picture, it looked like a skeleton face with long straw-like hair and a Puritan's kind of hat, like the Quaker fucking oatmeal dude wears. But that's my major experience with something dark. He's not a spirit. He's never been human. I don't know what you would call him. But that's my main experience with that. Have you ever noticed any unexplained scratches or claw marks or been attacked by a ghost? I have seen somebody get pushed down a flight of stairs by a regular human spirit. She was actually in that house I was just talking about. She's in the turret. She does not like men. And it was me, my former best friend that I grew up with, and another kid we grew up with. And as we were walking up the stairs, I had never been in the house before. I ended up going many, many times, but this was the first time. And we were walking up the stairs to the turret, and I am what I am. I could hear her, I could feel her, and I was like, listen, you shouldn't come up here. She does not like males. She doesn't like boys. She doesn't like men. Just don't come up here. And he was the one who was showing us the house because he had been there before, so he was all cocky about it, and he was like, oh, I can go up there. It's not a fucking problem. I've been here before. Well, she pushed him down the stairs. I also went there with my sperm donor, biological father, who I have nothing to do with, but for a couple of years he was in my life. And I went there with him. I tried to tell him the same fucking thing. He didn't listen. He got pushed down the stairs. So I have personally not been attacked by a human spirit, but I have seen others who were attacked by this particular human spirit. I have had many scratches on me that were completely unexplained. My grandma, a couple of times, she watched them appear on my back. They're almost always on my back. A couple of times they've been on my arm, but I don't think it was an attack on me. I think it was something trying to get my attention, because I can feel energy, like whether or not something spiritual that I'm around is good or bad or, angry or happy or sad or whatever. And at no point when I've been scratched did I ever feel attacked. The scratches would pop up and, yeah. And so where did you find the marks? On my back, usually. Sometimes on my arm, but mainly on my back. Have you ever had any bad dreams or visions where you were the subject of a ritual or you were surrounded by dark figures? Okay, this is actually a three-parter, so I'll answer the first part first. Yes, I have. If so, what were the dreams about? What were the figures trying to do to you? I had this really fucked up dream a long time ago. It's been about 10 years. Now normally when I have dreams, if I dream about the house that I'm currently living in or any house I've lived in before, it's supposed to be that house, but it in no way, shape, or form looks identical to the house. There's always differences. Well, in this particular dream, it looked just like my bedrooms that I had at the time. And it was a voodoo woman. She had, the turban, and she had chicken parts all over the place. And she had these, I'm going to try to remember it in detail because it's been a long time, but there were these lights shaped like skulls that were red that she had hung up all along my rooms. And she was chanting in a language I didn't understand. And in the dream, I was stuck and couldn't move. And I was curled up, almost like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen those Incan mummies, but I was curled up like that. And I was scared fucking shitless in this dream. I don't know exactly what she was doing to me or anything like that. I do know when I woke up, I was still in that position, and I was so stiff. I don't know how long I'd been in that position, but it must have been a minute. because I was so stiff it took me a minute to like get my body to move again. The weird thing about that is that I have never had any sort of fear or anything concerning voodoo. Like, I don't, I don't know a lot about it, so I would never dabble in practicing anything pertaining to it. But as far as being afraid of it, I definitely am not. So I don't know why I had that dream. I don't know what it meant, if it meant anything, if it was just something my brain came up with. I don't know. It was a very, very vivid dream and all that, but I don't know what it meant or anything like that. Other than feeling sick or nauseous, have you ever experienced any strange feelings in the tummy during any of these encounters? If so, what part of the belly and what did it feel like? Well, no, not in my tummy. I've never experienced anything like that. I have, when I used to go to the Kreitz house, me and everyone that has ever gone with me without me ever telling them this, we would get drained. And I mean drained. And another really weird thing was, like, if you took a can of pop and you opened it in the car in the driveway and you got out, by the time you walked up to the second level of the house, that pop you just opened would be completely flat, like it had sat in the sun for 3 days. I don't know what the fuck that means. I have never seen that happen anywhere else. I don't know what carbonation would have to do with anything pertaining to that house. I just know that the first time it happened, I thought it was kind of weird. Maybe I shook the pop up, whatever. So I brought a pop the next time just to see, and it happened again. And I did it like 4 more times because I'm just like super scientific minded like that. I guess, I don't know. But I tried it over and over again to see if it would repeat itself over and over again, and it did. So I don't know what that meant, but you would get very drained of energy. You would have very strange dreams for days. The house, or the thing in the house, the thing in the land, whatever, would also target things that you really, really liked or really, really loved or whatever. Like for me, I couldn't let go of the history of the place. And when I walked in, I could see the house that was there before it, which I'm searching the records, what they have available online in Circleville for the people who owned it before the Kreitzes owned it, and for what was sitting on that land first, because what I saw was a long house, and I saw a fire and all that sort of shit. I haven't been able to confirm that yet. I can't find information beyond the family name of the family that sold it to the Kreitz, but I can't find anything about what they were doing with the land or anything like that. But I'm still looking, and I will fucking find out one way or the other eventually if I was right about that. But I was drawn in by the history. A couple of other people who went with me were, I don't know how to put this tactfully, they were very sexual people, and they would have dreams about having sex in that house, like over and over and over again after they left. For a couple of people that went, it was the actual spirits themselves that they would dream about. For others, it was the land around it. It just, whatever it could use to target you and to get you to come back. Lucy, you have terrible timing. It would do it. There were times that I would sit in that turret with my then best friend, and we would go there around 11 o'clock in the morning. We'd go up to the turret, and we would just sit there, because you could see, like, a good part of the town. It's a beautiful view. But the problem is, damn it, Zeus, come on, man. Behave, please. Anyway, you would sit there, and you would zone out. Like, and she did it, too. Otherwise, I would think maybe I was just having, like, brain seizures. But no, she did it too, and we did it every single time, and before you knew it, it was 6 o'clock in the evening, and you still did not want to leave. So, that was some of the strange shit that went along with that place. A friend of mine talked about how his sister, and he didn't believe her, he knows what I am. He knows that, I talk to spirits and all that. We've been very good friends since we were very little. Like, I love him to death. And we were talking about the Kreitz house one night, and I told him everything that happened with the house, and this evil fucking thing that dwells in the land, and how I don't know what it is, but this is the shit it's done to me, that sort of thing. And he was telling me, sorry, my eye is itching. he was telling me that his sister had told him that something terrible happened to her there, but he didn't believe her because he just isn't very inclined to believe his sister sometimes. But yeah, he didn't believe her, and I was like, no, she was probably telling the truth, because it's a pretty fucked up place. Now, the house doesn't attack. Like, people have gone there and not, been attacked, but it does something to everyone who goes there. I don't know how it is now that they've moved it. I know it's kind of strange that the fucking house moved itself, but I don't know. Like, they do Halloween things there every fucking year, which freaks me the fuck out. Like, oh my god. But it ain't like I can go to, Circleville and be like, hey, everybody, don't come here. This fucking place is evil, and just don't come here. So, yeah. But I don't know how it is now that they've moved it. I don't know. But that's how it was before they moved it. I'm going to put the questions in the description bar like I do with tags, in case any of you want to do it and you want to talk about your personal experiences. I would actually love that. That would be really cool. I want to hear all of you guys' experience, because I have never in my life had other people that could hear spirits, see spirits, whatever. And I know that you people are out there on YouTube, so for the love of God, please comment and talk to me, because I found people for the first time ever that can do this, okay? So, talk to me. I hope you guys enjoyed this tag, and thank you, Paranormal Researcher, for requesting it. It was interesting. It was an interesting one to do. I hope you liked my answers. I don't know. I hope you guys have a beautiful week, and I hope you all remember to smile.